Hey folks, how you going? Another Monday morning, and I hope you're doing well. We're on a threatened species plant hunt today in Garrawarra State Conservation Area, and I'm hoping I'm not just making this video for the sake of it, but I've been getting obsessed with a eucalypt. You know, where you start to believe that sort of something doesn't exist just through your own sort of arrogance and probably, you know, lack of ability to find something. But what I've been obsessed with lately is this eucalyptus called consideneana. I've just struggled so hard to find it in the field. I get on iNaturalist and I look at people's records, and I look at internet records, and there has been some recorded around here in the Royal National Park. I looked at one iNaturalist record recently, and I just didn't think it was consideneana. I thought it was more Eucalyptus seabori, and it does say on Euclid that it is very similar to seabori, but it's got shorter fruit and it's got a more peppermint-like bark. I'm here in what I'd call some upper sort of sandstone, shrubby woodland, possibly on some laterite. It's on very low sandstone outcrop, but it is here in the soil, some sandstone platforms. Might be like an enriched sort of lateritic associated ridge top. We've got Angophora costata, Corymbia gomifera, a lot of Banksia ericifolia. Got some scribbly gum over there. And I have just seen this sort of mallee-looking eucalypt, and it does have very peppermint bark. I don't think I could lazily say it's seabori, though seabori would be my go-to, but it's just looking too shortly fibrous, and I am sort of tentatively saying that I think I have it. I think I finally got Eucalyptus consideneana. That's what I think I have. And I'm going to make this video, and maybe people can comment in time and say I'm either on the money or not. They're the buds, and if you look on Euclid, that's a pretty good match for what is shown on there. Although to me, they do look a little bit seabori. They're in 7s to 15s. The leaves, so I'll just give them a bit more focus. That's what they look like, and that's what on Euclid it's a pretty good match, and on PlantNet it's a pretty good match as well. So this is just going to be a video where I'm a little bit out of my depth, because this is the first time I reckon I'm discerning it. Now the leaves are meant to be concolorous. Now these leaves, I'm being honest here, they don't quite look like seabori to me. They haven't got the strong venation that seabori has. They're just a little bit different. And I don't know how I can say they're different, but they just don't have that real strong venation that seabori's got. It's a little bit less strongly venated, if that's a word, or less strong venation. But they're sort of doing a good job of looking like seabori, but I just don't think they've got that strong venation that I might have shown in a previous video on seabori. They are concolorous. Might be hard to see in the light, but it's just the early morning light here. They are concolorous. And that's how they're described on New South Wales Flora and on Euclid as well. That if I'm doing a good job of showing that, they're meant to be mostly concolorous. And then we look at these fruits. And they're meant to be shorter than Seabori. They're just not quite as elongated in the fruit. And they're meant to have 4 valves. That's one of the things that differentiates them. Seabori is meant to have mainly 3 valves. Consideneana can have 3 or 5, but most of the time it's got 4. I don't think the number of valves are a good thing to go on in eucalypts, so just vary a bit. But consideneana, it's meant to have 4 to 5. It can sometimes have 3, where Seabori is meant to mostly have 3. But if I'm looking at these fruits, to me, they just don't look Seabori enough. You can see they're a bit shorter. Not quite as sort of tall and elongated is what I'd say for Seabori. They just look slightly different, and I reckon this might be it. I reckon this might be consideneana. And I'm pretty cheering because for the last couple of weeks, I've just been obsessed with it. I've just been obsessed with trying to finally see it in its natural environment. And I reckon this could be it. I've had these sort of ideas that it might be, you know, maybe it's a hybrid of Seabori and Piperita. Maybe it's something like that. We've got Piperita further back there. I'm not saying it is a hybrid of Piperita and Seabori, but that's how it's coming across to me. And just haven't been able to find it, but I do believe this is it. Just go back to the bark. It's sort of growing like a mallee here. Just zoom out a bit. That's just too short. That's Piperita bark, and that's what it's described as having, like a Piperita type bark. What I meant to add was most of the records are on iNaturalist. Most of the iNaturalist records are Victorian based. We've got a few New South Wales ones, but most of them are Victoria. It's got a real funny distribution around New South Wales. I think people have got it out further west, maybe up the Blue Mountains. I'm not sure how far north it goes, but it does go down into Victoria, I think with a sort of coastal tablelands distribution. But there have been records recorded in the Royal National Park, and I'm just very curious about them, but I reckon I might finally have it here. So I'm going to make a record. I'm going to post this video up. I probably need to do a little bit more work on it and get more familiar. It's got some red yellowy stems, just like Seabori. That's very Seabori, the yellowy red stems. But when I look at the leaves, they're just not Seabori enough. They just don't have that strong venation, and look at the photos of the leaves on Euclid. They're just not having that strong venation. And I think the buds are good, and I definitely think the fruits are good. If I get some more examples here. So I am pretty happy. I'm pretty stoked. I'm not getting those 3 valves that you get for Seabori. No. Yeah, 5 valves, 4 valves. How awesome. Let's just keep looking, because this is exciting. 4 valves. Seabori, you should note, it just has 3 most of the time, though I have seen them with 4 as well on occasion. But that is pretty awesome. I'll just finish up with that. Yeah, I'm pretty cheering about this. Okay, well, that's what I'm going to call it. It's the first time I've met it. I'm just putting the evidence together as best I can. Fibrous bark, fruits with 4 or 5 valves. Shorter than Seabori, they just look a bit shorter. They're not Piperita at all, and the buds look good. And the leaves look different to Seabori. So I think that's good for consideneana. I'll check the records. There probably are some records recorded near to here. Be good to compare those with seabrai. I might take a bit, see if I can find seabrai later on. But I believe that is consideneana. It's got a funny common name. It's called the Yertchuk. I don't know how people pronounce that, Yertchuk or Yertchuk. Hey folks, I don't want to overdo this, but I just think it deserves this sort of scrutiny. Here's what I'm finding now a bit further down slope. You can see these 3-valved fruit consistently, I think. I don't know how many I should show, but just getting these 3 valves. Picked up a whole heap off the ground here. And I've got a much bigger tree now. It's about, 10, 12, 14 meters maybe. And there's the bark, which I can't really pull off. So now I think I've got seabrai. Now I think I've got seabrai instead of consideneana. And let's just do a quick comparison of the fruit. Trying to demonstrate this, folks, as best I can. These are what I think are the seabrai I've just picked up. And these are the consideneana, I believe. It's what I showed earlier in the video, the 4 to 5 valves. Here's the seabrai. And I guess really what I've got to do is try and get them together, seabrai and consideneana. I know the consideneana are fresh and the seabrai are old. That's what I'm getting. Bloody similar, too similar for my liking. Long peduncles on the seabrai. Maybe not as long on the consideneana, but maybe the pedicels aren't, maybe the peduncles aren't as long perhaps. I've got seabrai here, yeah, with these pretty long peduncles. So that might be one feature, maybe the peduncle length helps, but go for those number of valves. But they're the differences I've got at the moment. Yeah, I'll try and line them up. I'm going to try and line them up even a little bit better. In my hands, I don't know if I'm getting this across to you, but the seabrai are much bigger. They're a much bigger fruit than the consideneana. So just see if you can compare them at some stage. But again, this seabrai doesn't really have the peppermint bark. It's very fibrous. It's more, seabrais, they've sort of got this almost iron bark at the bottom. But at this stage, I haven't met a tall, large consideneana. I'm still waiting for that. So I've got to meet a nice, genuine, large consideneana, but that's not really a peppermint bark at all. This is an iron bark here, which is what I associate with seabrai. It's just got this iron bark-like base, and then the smooth branches up above. Alrighty, I reckon that's going to help us a fair bit going forward. Just notice this branch has come down from this piperita-looking trunk. Man, it's confusing. Like, these are now pretty big. They're pretty seabrai size, but yeah, maybe just a little bit smaller, but the valves are constantly in 4. 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. Yeah, I just don't know now. I'm pretty confident I had it before. I'm just not sure about now. I'm about, I'm like 500 meters on from where I made most of the video. But 4 valves, these are very, very seabrai looking, incredibly seabrai looking, but they got 4 valves. I've just looked at a lot of seabrai in the last half hour that had 3 valves. So this is a very interesting tree, but definitely piperita bark. Alrighty, how interesting. Yeah, these are quite on the big side. Not very different to the size of Seaburai. Oh well, that's life with eucalypts. It was remiss of me not to say, folks, really. The leaves don't really have a strong peppermint smell, but there is a hint of a peppermint smell there. Yeah, there's a hint of a peppermint smell. It's sort of, I'm finding it mild. I'm not finding it very strong, but it is there, just a little bit. I should have said that much earlier on. Maybe I'll compare it to the smell of Seaburai. But yeah, it's a little bit pepperminty, but the leaves have, to me, they've got a real, they've got a thickened texture compared to Piperita. They're much sort of a texture like Seaburai. They're a little bit, well, they're a little bit thickish, not overly thickish, but there's a bit of a thickness to the texture. When I get my hands on Piperita leaves, especially the juveniles, they're pretty thin. These are, yeah, sort of in between a really thick leaf like Capitulata, I keep using as a reference, and something really thin like Eugenioides or something. This is in the middle. It's sort of, there's a little bit of thickness there. So there's a little hint of a Piperita smell. Alrighty.